Oh, this is weird doing this on my own. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Giver. Welcome back to Giver. Courtney's still actually, no, I think she's home, but she has a busy week and they're going to Orlando for the Raw event this weekend. So I thought I would just hop on here and do a solo episode. We're leaving for Toronto today. Ian's competing on Sunday, and we've just been packing up, getting everything ready, clothes, food, scales, all that kind of stuff. And I have a lot of like nervous energy, but I think it's because I'm so excited. I feel like he's like really fired up to compete in the best way, which I feel like is the best feeling ever. I remember when I used to compete and I would do shows, and there were times where I was kind of like nervous because I was putting too much pressure on myself, or I wasn't necessarily in the best place with my physique. And those shows never really turned out great. And then I remember most of the shows that I did, which I was just like so excited to be on stage, and it's a high. Like anyone that competes knows that it's such an amazing feeling to display your hard work and to kind of, get the attention. Let's be serious. I'm not someone that actually likes that much attention, but when it came to competing, I just felt so, I felt like I was where I was supposed to be. You know what I mean? I felt really aligned, and really comfortable. So I'm really happy that Ian has those feelings going into this weekend. And I think it's going to be a really, really good show. He looks fucking amazing. He looks the best I've ever seen him. And I know he feels the best he's ever felt going into a show. So I don't know. I'm just excited. So we're here in my basement, and I put up a Q&A yesterday, and you guys actually gave some like really good questions. So I'm really excited for that. And I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you so much for listening and for giving a shit about our lives and our opinions and our perspectives enough to tune in. I don't think it's something that will ever be normal for me. I think it's always going to be something that I really, really appreciate. And yeah, so just thank you for being here. And that genuinely like comes from the bottom of my heart. So let's get into this. Something I'm really struggling with is body dysmorphia / body image. This is such a tough one because I feel like everyone has different reasons for struggling with this. I can just speak from my perspective. So a huge thing that I've learned over the years is that I put a lot of pressure on myself to look a certain way. And when I focus just on that, I don't really get anywhere. I end up in a cycle of shame and negativity, which for me, it's really hard for me to take action when I feel like that. So as I've grown up, I've started focusing more on how I feel and doing things that make me feel good. And for me, movement makes me feel good. Eating healthy makes me feel good. Getting good sleep makes me feel good. And if I focus on feeling better, whether it's energy or digestion or mood or all these things that for me are really affected by my lifestyle, how healthy my lifestyle is, I kind of start to feel the reward of treating myself well or healthily quicker. And that makes it easier for me to keep going. And then if you kind of hold on to that feeling, you usually start to look better. Your skin will look better, your eyes, your body, all these things. And it kind of just becomes, it's like a pride thing. You feel proud of the body that you're treating well, and it feels good. Body dysmorphia is obviously really tough, especially in bodybuilding, because you kind of have to constantly be judging the way you look. That's what you're doing, right? You need to assess and judge and change to get better at your craft. I really don't know, because for me, I had to leave. I had to stop bodybuilding. There are multiple reasons why I stopped bodybuilding. The body dysmorphia and my relationship with food was one of them, for sure. It wasn't the biggest one, because I do think if I had really tried, I probably could have worked through that while staying in it. But it was really hard for me to see my body at such a low body fat, and then to get back to a healthy body fat and accept that that was still okay and beautiful. Same with building muscle. Like, I felt like I looked like a 600-pound person. That also comes from comments from other people, not necessarily just me. So I would just suggest really treating your body with love and focusing on feeling healthy and changing how you speak to yourself in your mind out loud, even to your partner or to your friends. Don't talk about yourself in a negative way. And really understand that in this life, you have the opportunity to, like, honestly be in a body that you create. So what do you want to look like? Do you want to be muscular? Like, really get in tune with that. And I mean, I'm always going to be an advocate for therapy, because I think that there's people out there that have way more insight and education when it comes to stuff like this. But girl, I feel you, and you're not alone. I'm in prep, and is it normal to have little to no sex drive? I can't help but feel bad. Um, I think it's normal in any phase of your life to go through a period of lower sex drive. I think it's okay. Um, I think you should communicate with your partner to make sure that you guys are still able to have each other's needs met. You know what I mean? But yeah, it is normal. I would maybe do some blood work, especially after prep is over. Do some blood work and make sure that you get those levels back up, because our sex drive is very dependent on our hormones. But, and like, we can talk about men too, because men kind of, I've heard from other people, and sometimes actually Ian too, when they get really close to a show, their sex drive decreases. And that's not because of hormones. Let's be serious. It's because you're hyper focused on the goal at hand, and it's taking a lot of energy, and it's taking a lot of mental focus. And it's kind of just, it's life sometimes. So I would just give yourself grace and communicate with your partner. And um, if it is prolonged, I would do some blood work for sure. Any good books? Can we have a giver book club? Um, I fucking love reading. I grew up, like, our parents always, like, brought us to Chapters. They would buy us books. It was like a huge thing in my family. I recently just got back into it, probably 2 years ago. Ian bought me a Kindle, and I just have, like, I'm obsessed. I love how it keeps my focus a little better than watching TV. And I love to watch TV too, but I don't know, it feels better sometimes. Um, if I'm not, like, super tired and I have energy that I kind of want to expend, then I'll definitely read. Courtney doesn't read though, so we couldn't really have a giver book club. I feel like she would be left out. What did I just read? I'll post it on our Instagram, because I've read 3 books, I think, in the past, like, 2 months, and all 3 of them were amazing. I think they've all been thrillers, but that's kind of my jam. Do you have any long-term health effects from your time bodybuilding? Not that I know of. I've done blood work. We've recently gone to a fertility clinic and done testing. So I've done blood work, and that's all come back normal. I did an ultrasound, and I haven't got the results back yet. So no, not that I know of. I'm going to keep you guys in the loop with the fertility stuff, because I do think that it's I don't find it something that I don't want to talk about. I don't find it shameful. I find it really refreshing when women talk about it. And I think sometimes when we get into our 30s, it's like, okay, it's time to have a baby. And like, what if it doesn't work? You know what I mean? And full disclosure, we haven't even started trying. I know that it's not going to happen in the near future. I definitely don't want to get pregnant before Christopher and Courtney get married. So I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to make sure when we do want to, it's okay. So yeah, no, I don't have any side effects. I I mean, we might as well just jump into it because I have a million questions about PED usage. I was not natural when I competed, but I used very, very, very minimal drugs. It was more so on the fat burning kind of thyroid side that I would use stuff. And then I used a little bit of Anavar. And even now I'm kind of listening to podcasts and there's sounds like there's better things with less side effects for women, but I use things at an extremely low dose, like lower than bikini girls that I talk to. My femininity has always been something that I loved. And even when I competed, I actually struggled because when I was really lean and muscular, I kind of felt like I was losing it. And I actually took pride that I was kind of considered to be a uber feminine figure girl. So that was always at the front of my mind. People are asking a lot of questions about PEDs and what they should use. And I think that you should go to someone with more knowledge. I think there are coaches out there, HRT specialists out there that have more knowledge in terms of our systems and how they're affected and like, you know, the negative feedback loops and all these things in the body. So I would suggest researching that. John Jewett talks about it a lot, and I find his information really easy to digest in terms of what to do and what not to do, doing your blood work, getting things done like that. Would you move to Florida? I would. I don't think Ian's ready to make the jump yet. For me, I family is everything. I love being close to my parents, but on my day to day, in terms of who I want to spend time with, it's going to be my brother and Courtney. So I would like to live close to them, especially as we start to have kids and we, you know, move forward with that phase in our life. And I also think it would be like our parents could visit because we would live in the same place and my in laws would visit too. So, but again, it's not just me making this decision, it's Ian too. So I would. I don't know if he would. How are women treated when bodybuilding? Is there a stigma? Yeah, I feel like it's it's tough because probably on one end you might be considered risque for posing in minimal to no clothing and posting on Instagram the way you do, and on the other end you're probably called a man and things like that. So yeah, for sure. I think people are scared of things they don't understand. What's your stance on having children? That's definitely the most important thing that I hope to achieve in my life. So I think it's beautiful. I think that's the point. What do you do to continue skills slash neuroplasticity? Advice for a 31-year-old female finding herself again. I love to try new things. I'm always on the internet. Like I'm on Skillshare. I'm learning how to edit videos. I'm learning how to design clothes. I'm learning how to do graphic design. So just look for things that interest you and learn more about them. I love to read. I like to play games or card games with Ian or with my friends. I think there's so many ways and there's so much accessibility to do things that will grow your mind. Listening to podcasts, listening to audiobooks, reading informative books. So I would just figure out what your interests are and just lean into that. For a while, I was crafting. I would like DIY everything. I don't know, just do shit. It's so simple, but I don't know. Blood work recommendations for females on where to get blood work in Canada. You need a doctor to give you a requisition in Canada. And I would just ask your doctor. And if they say no, say, no, I want one. And this is well within my rights to get one. And I just go to like Life Labs or Dynacare and you can see your results online. Your doctor will always call you and go over your results. But I think the ranges are weird. They're different in every country. You need to be informed and do your research, but you really have to advocate for yourself to get blood work, because sometimes doctors are like, why? You're a healthy woman in your 20s or your 30s. You don't need blood work. So I would just know your rights and force them to give it to you. Someone said they love my voice, and that makes me so happy because I hate my voice. I don't know. I have such a hard time listening to it. And when I hear myself laugh or see myself laugh, I fucking cringe. What makes you feel you want to downsize your upper body? Nothing other than I want to be smaller and look different. There's not some like big, deep answer to it. I just would like to look different in clothes. I've always been super comfortable how I look naked. I'm that's not a big deal to me. Fashion is a huge passion of mine. I like to be able to wear different pieces. I like to be able to style things and look a certain way in clothes. So it's really vain. I just want to downsize to look a different way. How do you get through a breakup with a narcissist? She also said, I hate that label. I hate that label too. It's probably overused because I think you have to be a pretty intensely bad person to be a narcissist. But I did have a really shitty relationship when I was in my late teens and early 20s, and it was a long time, and I loved him dearly. And I don't know if he took advantage of it. I think he was in a place in his life where he was just trying to survive, and I kind of ended up being collateral damage in that relationship kind of turned me into a person that I didn't like, and that someone that I wasn't. And I just kind of matured, and I woke up one day and I realized that if I wasn't going to treat myself with respect or demand respect, how could I expect someone else to? And I I left and I cut him off completely. So I think that might be the answer. It's probably easier said than done, but I just left and I said, like, this is over. And I started really just focusing on bettering myself, because for the last, I don't know, 5+ years of my life, I hadn't been showing up as who I knew myself to be, and I needed to kind of rebuild. Okay, I have a few different questions on binge eating. First, I don't I think when I learned the definition of binge eating in university, it was a lot more intense than I had thought it to be. I think it's like consuming a crazy amount of calories in one sitting. I maybe the definition has changed. I don't know. The DSM changes every year, but I remember kind of hearing that and being like, "Oh my god, I used to think I was a binge eater, but I'm not." Regardless, label doesn't matter. I have struggled with losing control and overeating. And honestly, it came probably from an extreme restriction and then freedom. And then to fix it, it would be restriction and then freedom. And that's kind of what my competitive life was as a bodybuilder. I would say if you're struggling with that, to probably not go into a prep. I would focus on healing that first and figuring out why you do it. Are you trying to escape? Is it because you're scared you won't be able to eat it again? Is it a numbing? Is it a self-sabotage? And again, I would like probably work with a therapist to figure out the root and then try to heal from there. I'm sorry, I know that's not helpful, but I don't really know how else. Jealousy between women. I struggle with this because I find I a lot of time get told that I am jealous, and I'll have a feeling about someone, and then usually a man in my life will just say to me like, "Oh, you're just jealous." I'm pretty self-aware in terms of jealousy. So if I do feel jealous, I'm usually able to be like, "Oh, this is why, because she has something or she looks a certain way and I want that." And I feel like it's very normal to have those feelings. If you never do, then good for you, but I definitely do. And when I have those feelings, I kind of just reset and be like, okay, well, what can I change about myself so I feel more comfortable with what I have? Because everything that I have is beautiful. And how can I start focusing on that? So maybe focusing on, I mean, I guess it's abundance versus lack, right? It's like, what do you have in your life and how can you appreciate and better that? And it's all right to look at someone else's life or someone else's body or face and appreciate it. But you are you, and that's perfect for you. And if you were any other way, it wouldn't be right. I also do think sometimes we have gut feelings about people, and they can be right without you being jealous. So just be self-aware and focus on yourself and loving yourself and bettering your life, because you're the one that's going to reap the benefits of that. What would you change about bodybuilding as a sport? I mean, selfishly, I wish that figure was still like the Nicole Wilkins and the Aaron Stern era. But other than that, I don't think all these answers are usually going to be self-serving. So I feel kind of bad. I do wish that there was more positivity in terms of the fans and social media and stuff like that. I wish that it was kind of treated as like a sport, as a, I don't know, like a professional thing. You know what I mean? I would love to see like interviews and press conferences and things like that, because I think there's so many interesting people behind the bodies that we don't really get to see. Yeah, I don't know. I hope that made sense. Plastic surgery, body image issues. I kind of already talked about body image issues. Plastic surgery, do it. I feel like if you want to do it, do it. Do your research. Be aware that what you're doing is pretty serious. And don't do it until you're sure. I really want a nose job. Like, I've wanted one for years. I still see pictures or videos of myself and I'm like, oh my God, I can't even look at that nose. But I'm not 100% certain that I'm ready to change my face. So I'm not doing it. And I think if you're thinking about it, think about it and research and talk to people, but don't do it until you're like 100% convicted that it's the right choice for you. How do you handle if you can't afford to go on an abroad hen do, and you're the maid of honor? Advice, please. Oh, that's tough. I'm not crazy in terms of wedding and bride stuff, so I'm probably not going to give the best answer. But I mean, I would hope that the bride knew that you couldn't afford it before she made that decision. I would hope you guys have talked about it, because you probably should be planning that with her. If she really wanted to go abroad anyways and you can't afford it, then you can't go. For me personally, if I had made a decision like that, I would have paid or tried to help for my best girly friend to come. Maybe she can't afford that either, but I think you just say like, I'm so sorry. I really wish I could be there, but I don't have the funds right now. And I hope that you have the best time, and maybe we can do something when you're back to celebrate. Do you think about competing again? Yeah, I would lie if I said that I didn't. I think I could be really good and I really love it, but it's just not, I'm not in that season of my life anymore. So I'm still a huge fan of the sport. I love watching the girls. I think it's so cool and amazing, but just because I think about it doesn't mean that I would ever do it again. What did you do to get yourself out of depression? It took a long time. I'm really good at shutting myself away from people. I'm really good at isolating and telling people I know what's best for me and to fuck off and leave me alone. So I was in a really shitty place for a really long time. Ian kind of gave me a harsh truth and was like, if you're going to get better, you have to try. So I kind of just started at the root. I was like, what is making me feel so depressed right now? And there was a lot of self-hatred. And I was like, why do I hate myself right now? And I had gained about, oh my God, 60 pounds. I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't contributing financially. I wasn't nice to be around. So I tried to fix all those things. So I started very slowly going for walks, eating better. I went and got a job. And for me, I had to do it outside of the fitness industry. I think a lot of my life had started to revolve just around bodybuilding and about how I looked and wanting to become an Instagram influencer and make money that way and make money helping girls compete. And everything was just about this kind of like vanity. And listen, I'm a pretty vain person. I love beautiful things. I love feeling beautiful, but that's never my main focus or my main value in life, and it had become that. So I needed to kind of get away from that. And I got a job working at a pharmacy, counting pills and being outside in the world and learning a new skill and kind of interacting with people that didn't know who I was, that weren't in the fitness industry. I started to gain a lot of self-confidence. I started to realize that I have a lot of interpersonal skills. I learn things really quickly, and those little things started to make me feel a lot better about myself. And then I started treating myself better, and then I kind of just very, very slowly became okay again. And I'm someone that I feel things really deeply. I'm like a very emotional person. I wear my heart on my sleeve. You can see my reactions on my face. I can't hide anything. So, because of that, I feel the highs really high, but I also feel lows really low too. Everything's pretty intense. And I had to learn that about myself. So, I try to stay kind of even keel, and I try to know that you don't have to feel great all the time. You can feel a little shitty and it can last only a day and then you can be all right. Whereas before, it was almost like I was so used to feeling like so high that if I had one day where I felt kind of badly, I was like, this is going to last forever. It's all ruined. Something that I saw online the other day and it really stuck with me is never let your mood predict your actions. And I used to, if I felt badly, I would not go to the gym. If I felt badly, I would stay in bed all day. If I felt badly, I would eat chocolate. And that's your mood predicting your actions. And instead of doing that, I started to have my goals and my discipline predict the action. So if I felt badly, but I had told myself I was going to the gym, I went anyways. And when I came back from the gym, I felt better. And that was a huge thing for me. I think because my mood is so intense and it's so strong, and I don't know what it is. It's just who I am as a person. I used to let it control me. And I have control, not my feelings, not my mood. So that was a huge, huge thing for me. And you're always going to feel better after. Like you're never going to feel worse. So what can you do to improve your mood, not sit in it, if that makes sense? Overtraining and rest days. This is going to be you being super in tune with your body. And there's more biofeedback than you even realize when your body's going to tell you that you're overdoing it. And it's not always that you're just tired. It could be that you're super wound up and that you can't sleep. It could be that you're sore. It could be that you're anxious. It could be that your strength has decreased. It could be that your appetite is down. So, getting really in tune with your body and resting when you need to, and knowing that that's part of making gains. That's part of what you're in the gym to do. And you're going to be wasting your time in the gym if you don't allow your body to recover. Obviously, the less food that you're eating, the more recovery you're going to need. The more food and the more PEDs you're on, you'll probably need less recovery, and that's okay. There are also things that are going to affect your body's ability to recover. So if like your NEAT is really high, or you're walking around a lot one day, or you're moving on a rest day, or you didn't sleep, or that's probably not going to be the best recovery day. So understand that maybe when you get back in the gym, you might not feel as fresh. And I don't know, maybe take an extra rest day, have a little more food. This is if you're not prepping. If you're prepping, listen to your coach. That's always the answer. But yeah, I think it's really important. Make sure to catch the overtraining before you burn out. Don't just keep like taking pre-workout and caffeine and just like pushing through, because that's going to lead to something that's going to take a lot longer to recover from, like super intense burnout versus just having one rest day. If you knew what you know now when you started, would you compete? Yeah, I would. Competing changed my life and changed me as a woman. There's no way I would be as confident and as comfortable being myself if I hadn't gone through that. I think it's very exhilarating, and you really learn a lot about yourself when you do a prep and when you get on stage and show yourself off. I think it's fantastic. And I think if you can keep your mind right throughout it, it's so cool. Like, no, I would never go back and change that. What are some staples you would pack for show day? Oh my God, this is huge. I used to always bring a toothbrush because I wasn't drinking water. I would always get pasties when I was backstage. And there's no way I want to go on stage and like smile and like feel good about myself with like a fuzzy mouth. Baby wipes to wipe my nails. I would always bring like hairspray and some sort of hot tool because your hair never, or mine at least, never stayed nice. Candy. I used to always eat Swedish Fish or Sour Patch Kids while I pumped up. Check with your coach. Like Ian was feeding them to me while I was pumping up, and document it. Whether you have like your phone or like a little Fuji camera, the disposable, because it goes by so fast. It's really special and it can go by really fast. There's a lot of adrenaline if you don't actually like take the time to enjoy it. How do you beat that feeling of feeling overwhelmed when with the different moving parts of your life? I usually write things down. I like to be not in control, maybe in control, but I like to have things planned out. I like to know when we're doing things, why we're doing things, time it out, schedule things out. And that helps me a lot, especially when there's a lot going on, because I think we get overwhelmed when there's a lot going on because things fall through the cracks. Like there's too many things moving and we miss them. So I would just be like uber organized and like time managed like crazy, because if you actually time manage and like use every second of your day, there's so much shit that you can get done. It's actually crazy. But talk about it, write it down, let it out, and know that everything's going to be okay. Have you struggled finding genuine relationships with people in your life? No, I'm lucky because I kind of have like a built-in unit with my family. I also think I have no tolerance for anyone who's not genuine. I'm cordial and I'll be nice, but there's no way I'm going to build a deep relationship with someone that's not genuine. I don't have the makeup for it. Because of that, I do have a really, really small circle. I also have amazing girlfriends from a long time ago. Long before I had ever competed, I knew my three girls. And I think it helps because they don't really give a shit about any of that. They love me for who I am and they know all of me. But I do think when you're looking to meet genuine people, you have to be genuine yourself because energy matches energy. So if you want to meet genuine people and make genuine connections, be prepared to be yourself and be vulnerable and open up, because that's how you're going to make those connections and create those relationships with people. Can you talk about when you finally quit your traditional job? How were you feeling? It was a discussion between Ian and I, and his career had started to take off, and we like being together. And it was really hard for me envisioning him competing multiple times a year, going to the Olympia, and me not being able to go because I can't get time off on my job. It was something that I was really, really thankful that I was able to do. Ian has always been kind of the provider in our family. And whenever I worked, it was always just for me. You know what I mean? I didn't have responsibilities with my paychecks. But I knew leaving that job that there was always going to be some part of me that needed some sort of independence financially. I love that my husband takes care of me. I think it's amazing, but I also love that I'm able to buy a new outfit or go get my nails done and it's my money. So it was kind of scary, but like I told him that I was scared and he said, "You'll figure it out. Whatever you need to do, you'll figure it out." And I did. And I think just trusting your gut and trusting your partner and trusting the universe. I don't know, that's so hippy dippy, but I was really happy and really grateful that at that time in my life, I could leave my job and spend time with my husband and go on this amazing journey, because we're not going to have the opportunity to do this forever. So I just want to be there and I want to soak it all up with him. And he wanted me to be there too. Okay, there are two questions that kind of go hand in hand. One is, how did you get so level headed? And one is, talk about your faith journey and how it has affected your life. I grew up in a very stable, loving home. I had two parents that loved each other. They loved me and my brother so much. They took care of us. We were so privileged. We never had any fear that we were ever going to go without. We always felt safe, cared for, supported, and that's created a lot of safety in me. I trust my abilities. I trust the world. I trust my ability to choose my husband, who I'm now with, and now I trust him. I have a lot of peace in that. And I do believe that everything happens for a reason. And it's our responsibility to look at things that way and to grow and benefit from things that might not make sense or might be scary or hard at the time. And I've been through some pretty scary things that have kind of shaken me a little bit. And the only thing that was able to make me feel okay was that I was going to wake up one day and I was going to realize that it happened for a reason and I was going to be a better person because of it. And it was my responsibility to stay true to myself and to be the best version of myself throughout all of those things, no matter what. I'm not necessarily religious. I don't say that I believe in God or Jesus Christ or whatever, but I do believe that there's energy in this world and that there's karma and that if we do good and are good, we'll be okay. And that's so simple, but that's kind of that's really, really honest and how I feel. I believe in asking for forgiveness. I believe in screwing up. I believe in learning. I believe in being honest. I believe in being loyal. I believe in being true. And I don't know. That's that's an answer, I guess. I don't know. It's such a weird thing to talk about because I feel like it's so intangible, but that's how I live. There's a lot of questions about how Ian and I handle disagreements or unexpected things. We are uber communicators. We talk to each other a lot. We're not scared to say things to each other that might not be pretty or might not be nice. We really, really believe deep, deep down in our core soul that we love each other and that both of us have our best interests at heart, that we have a common goal, that we want our relationship to be fruitful and be amazing. And when you have that trust, it's okay. Like you just know everything's going to be okay. In those moments when you feel like your partner is distant or that you're pulling away or that something is like keeping you apart, that's when you really need to lean in. And it's not going to feel comfortable, but you need to do it because this is what you want. You're choosing this relationship. And I believe that your relationship always has to be your number one priority. Always. I just think if I'm ever to be in a position where my relationship's in jeopardy, I'm always going to choose the relationship. Okay, let's do one more. When did you know Ian was the one? I don't know. I don't think it's something that I think it's something that's developed over time. I knew the moment that I met him that he was someone that I could become very, very close to and that we would get along very, very well. And I was obviously attracted to him. Ian is a very gracious man. He is very forgiving. He's very understanding. He's very noble. He had all these qualities that I had seen in my dad, but I had never seen in my peers. And I think over the span of probably the first year, we had some hiccups in terms of the relationship, learning to be together and life happens sometimes. And the way he handled those things, I just remember being shocked, like even if I screwed up, he was so gracious. And if he screwed up, he was the first to come around and admit it. And there was just an intense respect that I had for how he conducted himself as an individual after probably that year. And it wasn't a lot of stuff. There were probably like 3 things that I can think of that we kind of had to work through. I kind of knew that I was going to marry him. He didn't because I don't think he was like into marriage or but I was like, you're stuck with me. Yeah, there's something about him that I can't put into words. He's really, really special. And I feel very, very lucky that I get to spend the rest of my life with him. And yeah, I'm going to cry. I hate that I always cry when I talk about him. I think what Ian and I have is very, very special. I'm so thankful for it. Someone asked me what's something that I'm most proud of in my life, and it's 100% my marriage, because it's the biggest part of my life and it's the most special, and I don't think it's common. So I feel like I've been talking forever. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for submitting your questions. If you're, Toronto Pro will already be over when this is up, but go congratulate my husband and say congratulations for winning, and go watch his YouTube. I'll probably be on there because peak week, there's going to be cameras everywhere and we're vlogging and blah, 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 blah. So go subscribe to his YouTube and watch his videos, like his videos, and say that I sent you. Thank you so much for your questions and for listening. I hope that you guys are having a good week. I hope that you're taking care of yourself. I hope you're being kind to yourself. I hope you're getting laid. That's so stupid. Okay. Goodbye. Make sure you're out there and just giving her, because life's short. Love you guys.